everybody. My name is Alex Rusher, and you are listening to the Weebs and Memes Podcast. Man, this is episode number 8, and that is just amazing that we've been able to keep this going on for so long, and the funding hasn't run dry. Oh gosh, the funding, all of the funding. Anyway, so for those not in the know, this is the weekly talk show about Japanese animation alongside various other doodads and all that jazz. Normally, I'm joined by my good friend Nellie-san, who was here last time in the Americas, but he is currently traveling back to Japan. So hopefully, when he comes back, it will be fun times. But the show's about anime, talking about it, watching it, and man, the episodes this week. Oh man, they were good. They were really good. So let's get right into the first one, which we're going to start out with episode number 8 of Island. So in this episode, thank you for giving me translation options. So in this episode, Setsuna chases after Rine, who went into the ocean to look for the previous Setsuna because things make sense. Manages to grab her while she was drowning and pull her to the surface, or pull her to the boat. They then get swept up in a tidal wave and land on the island that the show is all about. After looking at some of the previous spots where Setsuna, the original Setsuna and Rine hung out, current Setsuna was like, yeah, I guess I'll just explore around and stuff. Just seeing if they did any updates to the site. So he explores the island a little bit, and he manages to find this like cave-in that has like I don't even know, like caution tape on it. So he goes inside, and it's this kind of future tech laboratory sort of thing. So he takes a look inside, and or he goes inside, and he manages to find the corpse of the original Setsuna, holding a pen and some sort of book. Apparently, he found this thing in the center of the room, and when Rine was unconscious or sleeping or whatever happened when she got knocked out, he put her in that machine, and she was then sent back home. Now, of course, we find out, or we'll get to that later. So Setsuna, current Setsuna is like, hey, Rine, I found the body. Yay. And she's like, oh man, this sucks. The original Setsuna's dead. I really like the guy. And then current Setsuna's like, yeah, okay, let's, spend time on the beach till you feel better. So they do that. We get some nice beach time fun, jumping into like 3-foot deep water off a huge cliff because animation, right? It was actually a really nice clip. And then they talk about repairing the boat to head back. And then bam, Setsuna's back on the mainland, and he doesn't know when or how that happened. And initially there's fear that it was just a dream or a nightmare. But what happens is, apparently he knocked his head on the return trip, and apparently he let go of Rine instead of grabbing onto her or something like that. Something happened. I think it was on the return trip. They got swept up in another storm. And she fell out of the boat. He tried to save her, and she was like, no, don't. I would just be a waste, or something along the lines. It was like something very specific that the original Setsuna said. So Rine's dead. We fast forward probably a couple months. Setsuna is now just like bumming it out on the island, where the research assistant to Kanata's mom, I'm trying to remember, approaches him as like, hey, so you are Setsuna. I'm looking for Setsuna. And he's like, no, I'm not Setsuna. But then Rine's mom's like, well, you are Setsuna, and it's your fault that my daughter died. And you need to come with us. So they go back to the mainland, and we find out a little bit more about Kanata's mother and how her research related to the legend of the island, where Setsuna and Rine are essentially like Rine or Setsuna gets frozen in time for a very long time, and Rine finally sets him free. So they go into the legend of it and how Kanata's mother and it's very like weird to explain without images, but because of copyright, it's revealed that apparently there's a lot of legends around the world that all point back to the Setsuna and Rine legend. And specifically, they found that, or we learn as the audience that Rine didn't just like sweep ashore like Setsuna did. Instead, she was found by her mother in that lab in the pod. So the pod actually never left the island. Instead, the pod has the ability to stop time for whoever's inside of it. So it turns out that in actuality, Rine never left the island. She was awoken back on the mainland. And yeah, so that is literally what happened this episode. And I was watching it and I was just like, oh my god, this answers so many questions. This is cool. This was a really cool episode for that fact. But yeah, no, this, and the episode ends with Setsuna, the current Setsuna. He's going into the pod. He's getting his time stopped, and he's gonna supposedly go into the future, which I just think is, wow, really well done. I'm really liking the concept that's gonna happen. So hopefully continues being exciting. Otherwise, we'll just have to pick up the game that just got released on Steam. So, but yeah, so that is Island for this week. Up next, we have Hanebado. Just realized that there's Twitters, no hashtags. Okay, things make sense. So this week on Hanebado, we had yet another match of this. We're playing for Inner High ? We're still trying to sort out things for that. So this week's match was between Nagisa and Nozomi. Something doesn't feel right about that. Did Nozomi beat Rico? Regardless, we're watching Nagisa versus Nozomi. And in this episode, there's a lot of time spent on Nozomi and how basically she, her play style isn't really the way that you would play badminton, where it's like your coach is yelling at you, hit there, go with this strategy, do this, and her just complying and being like, yes, sir, to that. And the first half of the episode is essentially her doing this, and eventually Nagisa just brute forces her way through that, and it starts to really break down Nozomi's psyche. I actually really like it when the character's psyche gets broken, and they then take a new approach, and they feel a lot better from it. It's it's the most gratifying thing that comes from any sort of anime, either a sports anime or like something else. But anyway, so Nagisa brute forces her way through it, and Nozomi eventually is like, I'm just gonna play my way. I don't care what you say, coach. And so they have a good bout, and obviously Nagisa wins. And Nozomi loses, but the coach isn't being as much of a jerk. Because it also impacted her reputation as a player. Oh yeah, anyone's good at following, or not anyone's good at following orders, but it must be a pain to have a backseat driver. So that was actually really interesting, and I actually really enjoyed that aspect of this. The one thing that I didn't like about this episode, though, I. So last episode, when Nellie-san and I were talking about this on the show, we were like, what happened with Ayano? When did she become evil? Because in this episode, all Ayano did, besides like maybe like practice or maybe play a game in the background, was she looked at Nagisa's game and was like, yeah, she's gonna lose. Oh yeah, ha ha ha. And just like so uninterested and just being a total jerk. And she still had her eyes from the previous one, like the murderous eyes. I was like, what is this character? What is going on? It's really frustrating for me as a viewer to be tossed back and forth with a character like this, because we're supposed to treat her as the main character. At least that's what I'm assuming. But the show's giving me evidence otherwise, to treat this character as kind of like an antagonist or a villain. And I just don't know how to treat it. Like in this picture, she's all happy and stuff, and that's great. But later on in the show, like, she's not this happy-go-lucky. She's a super serious person who's focused in and out of the game, and it's just so weird. The show just goes everywhere, and it's really frustrating. And the episode ended with Connie being like, I'm coming for you, big sister, and then getting on the wrong train and traveling away. But yeah, this episode had a good fight. Animation, beautiful as always, but there are frustrations. But yeah. Anyway, hi, Ducks7293. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? But yeah, those are my complaints about Hanebado for this week. I think the show will probably clear itself out a little bit towards the end, but honestly, I really think that the manga is going to be the better option of the two, or between watching the anime or reading the manga. Like, Nellie-san described it as it being more of a comedy, and I feel like that, with the amount of twists, or the amount of like changes that the show has gone through in terms of characters and focus, maybe it would be a little bit smoother. I don't know. The only other series I've ever read, well, actually no, I didn't even read that one from start to finish. I started where the anime ended. For Katekyo Hitman Reborn, that show started out as a comedy, but then turned into a really good action, or a really good shonen show. This one started out as a drama, so it's hard to recommend this show at this point. But yeah, oof. Well, anyway, that is Hanebado, episode number 8. So continuing on, we have, oh dear Lord. Every week I question, why are we still watching this? Oh wait, it's like one of the few shows that's actually decent despite being a harem show. It's How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. So in this week's episode, we carry off from where we were last time with Diablo facing off against the Prince of the Elves. I forget the names. I'm actually going to pull up the character list because there's several characters facing off against Kira L. Greenwood. And oh my god. The fight in this was as you would expect for something like a harem with a superpowered main character, where he just sees this big enemy. He's like, oh yeah, this is going to be a challenge, and then he just runs up and one-shots it. So it was kind of what I was expecting. I made a prediction last week where it's like, okay, the first half of this is going to be him fighting the big bad, Kira Greenwood, and then the second half is going to be like some sort of like slice of life. What I didn't predict was the fact that after defeating Kira, there would be another thing that occurs, because he decides to let Kira go, only to get killed by Chester Ray Galford, who's apparently really, really strong. I think the estimates by Diablo was about level 120. And remember, Diablo's only at level 150. So they had a spar because his strategy was, okay, I'm going to have Diablo destroy the Elven army, and then I'm going to clean them up and take over their land, because that's how war works. Which, to his credit, is a brilliant idea. All you had to do was just let Diablo get away and just capture the prince in a back alley. Wasn't that difficult, or a back forest. But no, he decided to clean up Diablo as well. So they have a fun little spar, and it seems like for once Diablo's actually challenged, which is actually kind of cool. Kind of pushed to his limits, and then having to talk his way out of it, and he almost didn't get away with it, only to be saved by what's her name? Alicia's comment about Galford's plan to the king, and so he gives up that bout. Apparently the death of the brother was too much on Shara, so she spends the next couple of days like kind of moping about, but Rem kind of cooks her back into, everything else. But yeah, that is basically what happens. Oh yeah, and then also Diablo gets drunk with Sylvie, and he is not a heavyweight. And in his drunken stupor sees Sylvie as a dakemakura, or body pillow, and hey, fan service. And that basically ends this week's episode of How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. I am excited to see the next episode, just simply because I want to see, like, what's this group now going to do? Is Alicia going to stay with them, or what's going to happen? But the combat in this episode actually was pretty interesting. There was thoughts about tactics. There was, shiny lights and all that stuff. And it seems like this world is slowly expanding. I think after the show, I might actually start picking up the manga. It's actually been a while since I've read a lot of manga. I really should get back into the swing of things. But it was interesting. I enjoyed it. And yeah. Next week's gonna be interesting. And that covers How to Summon a Demon Lord, episode numero 8. Continuing on, dear Lord, where did we go wrong? We have episode number 8 of Harikana Receive. I don't know why it's spamming me translate this page options. Anyway, so in this week's episode, the Thomas siblings' mother shows up and decides to do a small little training camp for Haruka, Kanata, Claire, and Emily, and Akari. And so they train for a bit, and it's super interesting. Well, actually, it's not really super interesting. It's like, hey, can you block a harder spike? Oh, here's the strategy. You slow down the ball with the first person. The second person hits it back up, and hey, now you're actually able to play. Woo! Volleyball! Yeah. But this episode had a lot more slice of life to it, which I don't know. I don't know what with this show. Do I like the slice of life? Do I like the gameplay? Because the gameplay is relatively slow compared to something like Hanebado, compared to something like Haikyuu. But the slice of life portion is also very slow. So it's like, it's very hard to find that mid ground that really works. Which is what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to find that mid ground. What I do know is, oh gosh, I'm losing my train of thought, and I'm really trying. There's like a short little montage of them training, and then they receive word that apparently Narumi and Ayasa are either leaving leaving Japan or leaving Okinawa. That's where they are, or returning to Okinawa, and like needed a ride back or something like that. To be honest, I kind of spaced out this episode. And apparently Kanata wanted to see them. Apparently it was, I think it was like around New Year's, because they went to a shrine. No, it wouldn't be, because it's the middle of summer. This show doesn't make any sense. And I stopped paying attention while watching it, and that's kind of to my detriment, and I apologize. But the last little bit of it is just CGI car driving, stereotypical, really driving fast and no consequences whatsoever to make it to the airport in time. And the episode ends with Narumi and Kanata seeing each other and be like, hey, hi. Yeah. Oh, this show is painful. Oh well. But yeah, so I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to continue watching, because I know Nellie-san is, and that is the frustrating part for me. He's watching it. I got to watch it. It's difficult to commentate without the best co-host out there. But c'est la vie. We'll continue for now. Who knows? We might actually get to the end of this, but we'll see. Maybe it will actually like pay off once we start getting to an actual tournament, or it's going to try to make a second season. If it tries that, I'm not going to be happy. But yeah, so that was Harukana Receive, episode number 8. Oh my gosh, now we're actually getting to the good shows. Oh my gosh. We have Angels of Death, episode number 8. So, in this episode, let's skip that. In this episode, Gray and Rachel are continuing to go down the floors, and the episode starts with showing Rachel doing what she ended the episode on, which was activating the machine guns inside of Kathy's lair to kill all the zombies, which she does without any remorse. She's very focused on getting the medicine for Zach and just completing Gray's trial, which, as we're starting to see, Gray is trying to determine whether or not she is like being, I don't really know the word for it. Like, is she being just? Is she condemning the lives of people who shouldn't be condemned. We don't know. It's very interesting. So she goes through that floor, and then she starts getting haunted by kind of the ghost of Kathy, claiming her to be a sinner. Now, Kathy is crazy, and she's been screaming stuff the entire time, but I think it's kind of starting to sit in more where Rachel isn't any longer this, like, in this gray area, no pun intended, of being either good or evil. We're starting to see that she, like, if she has a task in mind, she won't care about what's going on around her to complete it. And that's very interesting. But yeah, so after turning on the power for the floor B3, Rachel returns to Gray, and she responds with, "Yeah, I killed them." Gray's like, "Oh gosh, this is gonna be bad," and they continue down to Eddie's floor. Gray actually gives some positive notes about Eddie, and then the drugs kick in yet again because Gray is just a walking hallucinogenic, apparently. And zombie arms kind of pop out of the tombstones, and when Rachel steps on them, they burst into blood, and she just does that for the entire floor. And it was interesting. Seeing this character who didn't do as much compared to, like if you look at Rachel compared to Zach's obviously super crazy and he's very murderous. But we turn to Rachel and she's not afraid to strike herself. And I think that's really interesting. But yeah, so they go through that floor, and they eventually reach floor B4. Yeah, floor B4. Or no, floor B5. That would be Danny's floor, and she goes searching for the medicine to cure Zach. Scouring the floor, she finds that the body of Dr. Danny is now gone, and there's no medicine. When she returns to Gray about this, he responds with, "I don't know why it's gone, but at the same time, this could also be caused by you." And I think there was another hallucinogenic trip on the way, but I can't quite remember. But then Gray suggests, well, Zach wanted, or earlier, Rachel mentions that Zach wanted her to go back down to floor B5 and get something. And Gray suggests, let's go down to the floor B5 and see what Zach wanted you to get. There might be bandages or something, since there's no medicine here. So the episode kind of, if memory serves me right, the episode then kind of comes to a close. But this was very interesting. As I said, we're getting insight into Rachel, but at the same time, we're also getting insight into Gray. Gray is a very, judging person. That's not where the episode ends. I remember. Sorry. Oh, spacing out. After Danny's floor, I think either we cut back to Zach or we just cut straight to one of Zach's memories where he was a youth, basically covering the portion after he had killed the abusive foster family. So it turns out that after killing them, he goes out into the world, somehow not being questioned for having a bloodied shirt, and meets this old man who lives in this shack. he lives with the man for a bit and actually grows relatively attached. But he cannot sate the bloodlust that he has. So he goes out. I'm actually going to change over to Zach's character. So he goes out and he kills a person drunk on the street. So, like, not the worst choice. I think cleaning up the streets, pretty good. But still kills a person. And comes back to the old man. The old man, he assumed would just be disgusted in him and want him to leave, but kind of just accepts it and goes on with his day. And he says, I'm going to go out and buy some stuff. Time passes to around midnight. He hasn't returned. Zach, he's not concerned or anything, but he's gonna go after the guy. So he grabs a knife that he finds while having a temper tantrum in the house, goes out and finds out that the old man had died, supposedly in the water. He then follows the riverbank for a bit and finds a couple laughing about the Peasley amount of money that the old man had, and cleaning off what looks like either a pipe or a golf club, and laughing to each other. Zach then approached and was like, "Hey, having fun?" Having flashbacks to the horror film that got him down the murderous spree to begin with, and kills both of them. And that's kind of like, it was really cool to get that extended backstory, why he hates happy couples, how he hates people who are happy, because something that brought him peace was taken away. So that was really interesting. I am excited for next episode. I'm really hoping something, I don't even know what can happen at this point with this show. So she goes back down, gets bandages or something to cure Zach, goes back up, Zach gets cured, and do they kill Gray? Do they not? Like, he seems to be a pretty cooperative fellow. It's a very weird moral ground that Gray is setting up with this. Is Gray gonna try to kill Rachel, and is Rachel gonna kill Gray? What is this hallucinogenic that's getting produced that's apparently that Gray just has control over? There's a lot of questions still, which is what's keeping me coming back to the show. But at the same time, I'm questioning where the weight of it all is going to be coming from. But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. This week's episode was definitely very interesting. Blah. I got one nostril that's just stuffed up right now. It's just annoying me. Gosh, such first world problems. Hey, do we have a better... Oh my god, we actually have a better web page. I'd never realized. Oh god. I've always been going to this one. For TBS, which is the broadcast station. But apparently they have a perfectly good site for this. Perfect. Wow, this makes my life so much easier. Wow. Okay, way to make this super accessible, because those are definitely images. Or not, yeah, those are definitely images, so I can't get that translated. I'm assuming this is Aussie. Yeah. Okay. We'll play this one by ear. So in this week's episode, we're picking off last time Haruto got stabbed in the back by Clive, which I'm going to assume is this one. Nope. Really trying here. We're really trying. Nope. That's Clive? Kanji, I don't get. But anyway, so Haruto gets stabbed in the back by Clive. But at the start of this episode, we're actually taken to a really weird scene. Haruto's waking up in a hospital with an oxygen mask over his face, while conveniently Asahi, how did she get here, is coming in with flowers. It's explained to him that he has been unconscious for 6 years, ever since taking a shot from a boss for Nozomi. And give me a second while I process the thoughts. I gotta do this. Talking a lot happens. And basically he gets visited by everyone else, and nobody has any recollection of reunion. It's only union. And eventually, Alicia, where'd my mouse go? There it is. Alicia comes into this and reveals to him that this is a dream or thought created by Asahi in order to shield him from either damage or from something else. And Haruto's like, well, I don't want this. So he just decides to break out of it and counter the fact that he got stabbed in the back, and then stabs Clive through the body. But guess what? It was the dragon all along. It was me, Dio. But yeah, no. So Clive does that. This Clive is now revealed to be a fake dragon or something like that. Something possessing the dragon. I kind of spaced out in that 30 seconds when that was getting explained. But they decide to try to fight this dragon, and in comes the captain of the ship that they were taking, and they're like, wait, why are you here? And they're like, oh wait, no, it's not the captain. And the illusion fades, and surprise, surprise, it's actually Clive. Hey, he's here to help. And what follows is a relatively okay action, combat and stuff, and it's team working together. And there's one or two close calls. But eventually they manage to pin the dragon down. And in doing so, it allows Haruto to get on top of the dragon and attempt to draw the sword, which I mentioned last week is located on top of the dragon's head, using the power of friendship. They manage to power up the sword enough that he's able to just strike through the dragon, killing it. Back on the boat, it's revealed that Clive has another piece of the red stone red memory stone that Asahi has, and we actually get a more in-depth memory. Seems like there's a bunch of cultists kind of gathered around Asahi, who is then saved by Alicia again, which from 2 or 3 episodes ago, Clive knows about, and is actually revealed at the end of the episode when she logs out. She actually has a similar ring to everyone else, both in-game, as you can see in this concept art, but also outside of it. So this is what's really interesting. This show is called Seven Senses of the Reunion, or Shichusei no Subaru, or something along those lines. Is Alicia a friend who got kicked out of the game early? and they just don't remember, or they just haven't convenienced themselves to think about it? Or is this a friend that Clive had? Or I don't know what's going on, and that's what's making this super interesting. They're really teasing this character really well, and it's going to be really interesting when we get more information. But at this point, the squad consists of Haruto, Asahi, Satsuki, and Clive. So I'm expecting the next episode probably to talk about Nozomi, the summoner of the group. So it's going to be interesting to give her to see what she's been up to, especially since she was teased in the previous episode as well. One last thing about the Asahi getting rescued by Alicia. Alicia, as previously mentioned, she has the ability to seal senses. So when she tried doing a sense sealing technique, it actually produced all those red stone, or produced the red stone out of Asahi, and then that shattered. So the mystery keeps going, and I am really excited for the next couple episodes, because oh man, they're just giving so many little hints, and it's so good. But yeah, so that covers episode number 8 of 7 Senses of the Reunion. Oh my god, so many shows. And continuing down the list, I think up next it's the Swim Boys. So we got more free dive into the future. So, so far the show has been kind of teasing towards having kind of like a All Japan tournament. And we're actually at that point now. Haru did some training with the creepy old guy. Don't see him. Is it Ryuji? No, can't be. It is, yeah. So he does training with this Ryuji character. Off screen, Makoto's there. We see that Ikuya and Hiyori are no longer on talking terms. There's a lot of tension before the game. Natsuya meets up with Nao at a bar, and Hiyori, Ikuya talks with Natsuya for a little bit. It's like, I'm going to do my best on the day that matters, after still not doing his best for an extended period of time. So Makoto and Kisumi, oh god, my mouse is acting up, great. They go to the arena to watch Haru, Ikuya, and Asahi do their best. What I like about this show is that it gives the right amount of screen time for everybody so that you know what's going on with them. So Sosuke, he's going to Tokyo. Cool. Oh, hey, Rin, he's going to be competing in Australia's Open so that he could possibly compete against Haru and the gang. And we get confirmation of this because Go and Rei and Nagisa are talking about it. And it was actually a really cool thing to watch. It kind of zip between all these different perspectives. We have the 100-meter freestyle where Haru does really, really good in. Who would have thunk? And then Asahi actually competes pretty well in the 50-meter freestyle, and so he makes it through. When he's trying to psych himself up for the next match or something like that, Ikuya walks into kind of either the changing room or the waiting room or something, and they actually have a short little chat, saying that he's sorry that he had to move away when they were younger, and he really wishes that he could have stayed with them. To which Ikuya's like, yeah, okay, it's fine, I don't really care too much, but thank you for the words and stuff. And then goes on to do the individual medley. And this is when I started screaming because Haru is also in the individual medley, which surprises Ikuya, who's like, wait, but you only swim free. And Haru's like, yeah, I know, but I'm also swimming the individual medley. And oh my god, it blew my mind. Like, it was predictable. Don't get me wrong. Hey, have you ever thought about doing other swimming events, or like swimming a different way? Like, it was all set up perfectly fine, which is good. It's really good. But oh my god, it was the ultimate solution to have the two of them start swimming again together. And it makes sense. By strengthening different muscle groups like that, it actually would lead to you swimming a better freestyle. So it actually makes sense. And that's the frustrating part about this, is that it makes sense, and I hate that it makes sense, because it just makes the show all the better, and I hate that this show is somehow good in my opinion. But that ends the latest episode of Free, but I really enjoyed it. And once again, the soundtrack of the show is, or episode 7 actually, of Free. I'm just realizing that. But this show, surprisingly good. Free is kind of underrated in my opinion. I hope you check it out. Up next, we have Yagiso no Yuna-san, episode number 6. So, what happened this week? Well, during the first cour, the Chitose, the kind of head of the house, or the Yuragi Inn, decides to sneak out. It's very weird. After oh god, trying to remember names. Kogarashi and Yuna leave for school. Turns out that that Chitose is actually part-timing, not at a job or anything. She's part-timing as a middle school student. Because why not? So and she doesn't want anyone to know about it. It's kind of like her it's a way for her to kind of get the experience that she never got because she was a spirit. Or yeah, some sort of spirit. Which is really cool. So she goes to middle school and she's enjoying herself, and that's just sweet. We learn why she's actually even able to attend it. She spent time with a young boy many years ago, and he still remembers her being so young and respects it. Which, honestly, man, that is just the sweetest thing to do. But yeah, so Chitose hanging out with some of her middle school friends at a mall, or like a grocery mall or whatever. They try to get, or two delinquenty looking fellers try to pick or hit on them, which is really weird. They're middle schoolers. Calm down. And so she does good luck and bad luck as her abilities. And Kogarashi shows up, beats up the delinquents, and goes back to his part-time job, because apparently he has a part-time job. I have to double check that. And she goes, after spending time with her friends, she goes back home and does her work at the inn. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that, like, little slice of life put. It was really nice. The second part, however, was Kogarashi and Yuna going to another hot springs inn, which ended up being kind of like a date resort. And it kind of it kind of had just a lot of awkward moments because Yuna doesn't exist. and Kogarashi is doing all this datey stuff by himself, it looks like. And that's, oh god, just the thought of that, like, ugh. I did have to skip through just a bit of it, just simply because, like, I hate that kind of awkward, and I get that people, like, find that funny, but I just can't. And so after doing stuff, they actually go into the hot springs with swimsuits. Come on, guys, keep it PG, or PG-13 at least, or at most. And they just talk, and he's like, "Hey, I'm glad that she had fun with this. Totally not a date, but a date." Which was a joke throughout the entire episode, or the entire second half of the episode. But yeah, no. The kind of like half story each, or like splitting it into two separate stories per episode, I like that concept. My only fear is when they want to expand on the story. So I don't know if it's going to do that this first season, or if there's going to be a second season where they do expand on story and make it more like actually give it a plot. I mean, we talked, or Nellie-san told us last time that in the manga they've only just gotten to like something that even closely resembles story, so you never know what's going to happen. But it has been doing kind of like a roulette with all the different characters and stuff. So who knows? Maybe next episode we'll get a focus on Chisaki, or maybe we'll get an episode on Oboro, or maybe we'll even meet this Koyuzu character that's been teased for so long on this character sheet. But who knows? Well, I mean, probably people who read the manga, or people who work at the animation studio. Whatever. The author, definitely. And to end this week of Animus, we have... Whoops, that's the wrong link that I want to click. We have Happy Sugar Life. Oh my god, this episode! Oh man, this week's episode was so good. Like, I can't even describe how good it was. So, last episode, Sato and Shoko are talking, and Shoko's like, I want to meet, I want to be more trusting with you. Like I if you're feeling pain, I want to share that with you. That sort of thing. And Sato agrees to bring her home. And we also had a little bit of creepy teacher being creepy. Daichi, or Kita, yeah, Daichi. And so when Sato and Shoko go to the house, or go to the apartment complex, Shoko and Sato go up to the third floor in the elevator, and they talk to, or when they turn the corner, they see that there's two police officers outside, and Sato is just scared half to death, because she's like, oh god, there's people outside and they're talking about the smell. It's revealed later that Daichi, the instructor, had actually called the cops to the place, suspecting that Sato had killed her aunt. And it is freaky. And so Sato very hesitantly, the cops are like, hey, you need to let us in. We need to look because we have been asked to. We are, it's our job. Sato is so reluctant to do it, but she eventually unlocks the door, starting with the bottom lock. And the door, she says, "I'm home," and the door opens. And for me as a viewer, I'm like, what is Shio doing? Shio's not supposed to do that. And the door opens, and we're not greeted with Shio. We're instead greeted with this character. I forgot her name. I'm just going to call her Sato's aunt. So we're greeted with this character. Bandages. And this is the scary part. If it wasn't Sato's aunt that was killed, who was? And also, Sato's aunt is very similar with her eyes as Sato. Very focused. Very, like... I don't even know how to describe it. Bright. Observing. But dark at the same time. And she invites the police officers in. She invites Shoko in. And Sato, she pulls in. Shoko, please tell me that's her name. Shoko, yeah. Shoko is freaked out by this initially. Sato is keeping quiet. The police officers search the place. They don't find anything. They find a locked room, which we're like it's set up exactly the same because apartment buildings, they generally have the same internal room structure. So they find this room that is locked very similarly to how Sato's room, or like murder room was in her, in wherever it is. So like we're under the assumption now is like, did Sato's aunt, like where's Shio? Like there's all these questions being tossed in her head. And so they eventually manage to break through all the locks and they open it up and it is filthy in there. Garbage, refuse, a misshapen bed or whatever. And they just tell Sato's aunt to, clean the place up. It's, unsanitary. And then that's when she starts to snap. And she starts being overly aggressive with the officer in a very flirtatious way, trying to break into his psyche. The other officer, thirst is there with this character. And it is so unsettling. What the show does best is unsettle you. This shot in this bottom corner here. I don't know if I can zoom this in at all. I kind of can. This shot right here is what her face kind of is the entire time. She's fixated, focused, and it's insane. But anyway, so once Sato and Shoko leave, because they leave with the officers her Sato explains that her aunt accepts what people want. Be it lust, be it violence, be it anything. Her aunt, I keep saying her mother, her aunt is just insane. And this is where the question of what shaped her opinion of love comes into play. What shaped that? We don't know. Additionally, throughout the entirety of this, the perverted instructor, Daichi, is just watching this and just like going absolutely insane, almost as insane as Mitsubashi or Taiyo was with Shio. But yeah, so after Shoko can't or respond with a, is there any way I can help, or like, is there anything I can do? Because she's stuck in a position where she can't say anything. She was complaining earlier about how her family situation is, which is just having concerned parents, making sure you aren't staying out too late, aren't spending time with the wrong people, making sure you're successful in school. Her complaints meant nothing compared to Sato's, and that was just amazing. Like, this show is either extremely well written or knows how to create these so unique characters and kind of stitch all these different connections together, and make it feel real yet not. Because the Shoko's the audience insert in this show. Like, how do you respond to seeing something like that? You can't. And it's painful to see Shoko now break and lose this deeper friendship with oh god, Sato, who, after parting ways with Shoko, goes back to the apartment complex and confronts the instructor and is like, you screwed up. Now, don't ever do this again. Otherwise, I'm going to hurt you or something like that. Probably not in that specific words, because that would probably get him off. And sends him on his way. And after he goes, she leaves room 305, or leaves the door to room 305, which is where they were earlier, and goes up the stairs to room number 1028, where she opens the door to Shio. So in this episode's plot twist, she manages to escape because her aunt lives on the 3rd floor and she lives on the 10th, or I think it was 1028. I'd have to double check. So I'm checking the Wikipedias right now. Yeah. Or no, 1208. So goes all the way up to the 12th floor. Oh my gosh. But yeah. Wow. This episode had me shaking. Like, I was actually just like shaking while watching it. And like, because the aunt is creepy as heck. With the way that she lives, with the way that she acts. And that was the environment that Sato had been raised in for such a long time. Shoko can't respond to it. You have the audience insert. They don't know what to do. You have you have all these information tossed at you and you don't know what to do with it. And it's just so well done. Oh, man. This show has been an emotional roller coaster, and I love it. It knows when to hit the creepy factor, maintain a level that's not overly creepy, but at the same time, creepy enough to unsettle you. And then, right when it's gonna feint we're gonna take it to 11, it goes back down to 5. And that is perfect. The writing's perfect. Animation's really well done. This show continues to surprise me. And if you're not already on the Happy Sugar Life train, you need to fix that. Oh my gosh. That should cover everything for this week. Yeah. Now, I'm not Nellie-san. I can't really do all the memes all the time. But I do want to maybe take a quick look into what we're thinking about watching next season. So going on into the fall 2018 season, just get a nice little predictive look at what we're thinking about. And I think, this is already sorted the way that I like, so that's good. So let's start thinking about what's going on. So I know for a fact that Nellie-san really likes the Monogatari series, so Zoko Wari Monogatari. I think I actually pronounced that right the first time. He'll probably want to see this. I've only seen, I think I've only seen Bakemonogatari. But Zoko Wari Monogatari will probably be on our list for sure. And I took a quick scan through these earlier, and it's hard to find good stuff. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, like, we look at some of the descriptions for these, and we're like, are these okay? Are they not? I mean, like we could look at something like Maxstoria, this show, and it's like a fantasy strategy role-playing game in a world where humans and monsters coexist. Ooh! And there's a boy who's, heals instead of fights, and he's on a journey to restore memories of a mascot character. And we're like, it's based off a video game, probably a shoujo. I mean, like, let's take a look at this, Actually, the animation doesn't look absolutely horrible, but, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem appealing to us. Or it just doesn't seem appealing to me, at least. Meanwhile, something like Goblin Slayer by, Studio White Fox. Oh, gosh, that's immediately getting tossed in because, White Fox has already proven themselves with ReZero. Plus, the concept actually seems rather interesting with a venturing party forming. And it's, you have this character with this unique quirk of, I'm going to kill all goblins. But, so, like, that's probably going to be on our list for sure. But, like, I don't know. There's a lot of sequels to things, like Golden Kamuy 2. I've seen the first Golden Kamuy, like, probably about 6 or 8 episodes. Not too many. But I'm sure a lot of people are going to like it. And actually, that's a surprisingly fast turnaround, because I think the previous Golden Kamuy was, like, I'm going to estimate last spring, actually. I might have to double check that. Whoa. Accidentally bumped the mic. But if it is, that's a real quick turnaround. Same with the Guruzeni. If I am right. Well, Guruzeni is getting a second season. Really trying to find this. Yeah, Golden Kamuy. Interesting. That's getting a second season already. That's a really quick turnaround. I guess they had a lot of watchers. Got an original here. Reride Kokukoe no Terira. yeah. I'm probably going to talk more with Nellie-san about these, especially for controversial topics like Sword Art Online Alicization or Ingress, which, yes, that is based off the mobile game Ingress, where it's basically Pokemon Go, which that actually might be interesting to watch, like 3 episodes. But there's going to be like other shows that we're just not gonna be watching. I don't know, like Anima Yell. It's about cheerleading. Why not just watch Cheer Boys? Oh, sorry. But who knows? There might be stuff in here. I don't know. Radiant seems interesting. This looks like a oh god. Oh, this is the slime reincarnation show. That Nellie-san was talking about. We're probably gonna watch that. Great. We also, what else do we have? I don't even know. This might be our slice of life show. Irozuku Sekai no Ashita Kara. God, I butcher the Japanese language. Oh, hey, Tokyo Ghoul, Re, Season 2. We're watching that, and I hate it. I hate the fact that we're watching it. And, yeah, no, there's stuff. There's stuff here. Conception, I like the art style in this. I don't know. You never really know until either you read the source material or wait for the first 3 episodes. Or heck, you can even tell by the first episode. But it seems like we might be facing another similar drought that we faced this last one. Oh god, there's JoJo's. Oh god, there's a certain magical index. Oh god, there's more Phoenix Wright. Oh gosh, there's more Fairy Tail. There's going to be more sequels, that's for sure. But who knows? Maybe the movie category might be okay. You never know. Jesus Christ, K? Jesus Christ, more K? Jesus Christ, even more K? Oh, hey, Gundam. Actually, I did have this prepared. Oh, yeah, also Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball Super Broly. Because why not? But I will say, even though I can't always do memes, there are memes that go on Japan, and thank you Kotaku for finding them for me. Apparently, people have been doing the pose for this new Gundam, just for kicks. And that's been going around the internet. So it originated with this tweet, probably challenging. I can't read kanji. Translate. Is this a pose? And it's like, hey, challenge people to pose like this. So people gather their Gundams and other stuff and pose them up. One that I really liked was, I think it was this one. Now, I've never seen Lupin the Third, but this is just really well done. And I've heard Lupin's a really good series. Like, it's up there with JoJo. Jokes. But yeah, no, this Gintama one's actually pretty good as well. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's when you can tell you have a good meme, where like you get laughter when you understand the jokes. And there's kanji here probably doing a little bit of a joke, like, why do we have to pose like this? Just help me reach higher. That's good. That's a good meme. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this week's episode of Weebs and Memes. I hope everyone who stopped by enjoyed watching me talk about the animes. Hopefully next week we'll have our good co-host Nellie-san back with us to talk more memes, because it's difficult to do this without him. But yeah, I want to also thank you all for watching. If you're wanting to know when we go live, what we're doing, or you want to watch this later because you missed the first half of this, check out, if you're watching this on Twitch, the description below. There's links to Twitter, YouTube, all that jazz. If you're watching this on YouTube, links below to Twitch and Twitter for myself and Nellie-san. Check us all out on those. Make sure to stop by again at 8 p.m. Pacific on Fridays, where Nellie-san and I will hopefully talk about more anime, because it's fun. This season, it's been a roller coaster. It's been going up and down about what shows are good, what shows aren't, and we're probably missing some of the better shows this season, like Cells at Work or Planet With. But we're having fun with what we've selected, and that's kind of the point of anime, is just to have fun. But yeah, I want to thank everyone who stopped by, and I hope you will all tune in next week. To end this off, we are going to be playing some more Broken Elegance. We're going to play Journey by J High 5 and Broken Elegance. So thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.